Palestinian health officials say the death toll from Israel's war in Gaza has now reached 50,000 people. This is a staggering number in Gaza. It amounts to roughly 2.5% of the territory's 2 million people, and those numbers appear likely only to go higher. Israel resumed the war last week with a surprise wave of strikes that abruptly ended a 2-month ceasefire. The Palestinians say hundreds of people have died in the past week alone. Israel says it's targeting Hamas militants and installations, and one of those killed on Sunday was a well-known Hamas leader, but hospital officials say that scores of women and children are also among the dead. Israel, for the time being, shows no signs of slowing down. In addition to the airstrikes, it's pressing ahead with ground incursions across Gaza. These operations have been accompanied by new orders for people to evacuate. In many cases, these are people who only recently returned to the rubble of their former homes during the ceasefire. Israel also says it has formed a new administration to help Gaza Palestinians leave the territory. That is part of President Donald Trump's controversial plan to empty the territory of its Palestinian population and have the U.S. take ownership. The renewal of the war has prompted mass demonstrations in Israel. Tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets in recent days, and among their concerns is that this renewed fighting could threaten the safety of hostages still in Gaza. The Israeli government says that military pressure is needed to bring home the hostages, but the protesters, along with many of the hostage families, want the ceasefire restored. They say that time is running out for a negotiated solution to bring home the roughly 24 living hostages still in Gaza. The war has also threatened to reignite fighting across the region. On Saturday, Israel struck targets in Lebanon in response to a barrage of rocket fire. And early Sunday, the Houthi militant group in Yemen launched another long-range missile at Israel. Israel has intercepted a series of missiles, but these daily attacks have set off air raid sirens and added to a very tense atmosphere across the country.
All right, folks. Yes. We are back here on WLTH 1370 AM. It is 6:32 in the PM here on Friday, March the 28th, 2025. Yes, the future is here. The future is now. And the future's not looking good, folks. No, it is not. If you've been paying attention at all, you see that on March 17th, Israel resumed their military operations in Gaza with this massive wave of airstrikes, marking the end of the ceasefire that Donald Trump got his Jewish business gangster, Steve Witkoff, to negotiate. Obviously, he'd made a big deal about how he's bringing peace to the Middle East, but then apparently his folks said, we ain't gonna allow this to happen. So he essentially allowed Israel to break the treaty and the ceasefire, should I say. These strikes targeted what Israel described as Hamas terror targets. I'm holding that up in quotations. And over 400 Palestinian people died in a single day. A single day. Now, according to Israel, they'll say that they use people as human shields. They use all those people as human shields. But what I always ask people is, if I rob somebody and I shoot somebody and then I grab a baby, would you guys tolerate the police shooting me and the baby? Being like, hey, well, he was holding the baby, so we had to kill the baby too. That's essentially what Israel's doing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared this offensive as just the beginning. Of course, their goal is obviously ethnic cleansing. This is why on October 7th, there was a lot of Israelis celebrating in the streets, because they said they knew that this was going to be their excuse to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip, signaling an intent to continue military pressure until all the hostages are released. This is what they're saying. And Hamas's governance and military capabilities are dismantled. Again, they don't want the hostages back. Keep it 100, Israel does not want the hostages back. That's why you have so many Israelis protesting against their own government in in Israel. They know that these supposed hostages are being used as an excuse for Israel to just ethnically cleanse and kill off the Palestinians. And anybody who gets hurt in the process is just collateral damage. Just like how Israel killed a lot of their own people on October 7th using the Hannibal Directive, which gives them the ability to murder their own people rather than have them be taken hostage. How many of you people heard of the Hannibal Directive? I bet you haven't, unless you know, especially if you're watching the corporate media, which is controlled by you know who. Now, some of these strikes killed senior Hamas officials, including Mahmoud Abu Wafa, who is Gaza's deputy interior minister, and has led to widespread displacement with evacuation orders issued for areas like Beit Hanun and Khan Yunis. Now, within Israel, the resumption of this war has intensified their own domestic tensions. Public sentiment has been mixed. While some support the renewed offensive, significant opposition has emerged within Israel, particularly from families from the remaining 24 living hostages who know what their government is doing. They are sacrificing their loved ones in the name of ethnic cleansing. So protests have erupted in Jerusalem, with groups like Hostages and Missing Families Forum accusing the government of endangering captives and abandoning the ceasefire, which is exactly what they've done. Over half of the recently freed hostages also oppose the renewed campaign, fearing for those still in Gaza, as they should. This conflict has also strained Israel's international relations, with the U.S. consulting Israel before the strikes, meaning that we also get criticism for not restraining Israel, since we're the ones arming these people. And so global condemnation has grown, with entities like the European Union, Egypt, Qatar, and the United Nations deploring the ceasefire's collapse and the humanitarian toll, which includes an official, this is just the official death toll of 500,000 Palestinians. The likely toll is probably about 10 times that since October of 2023. And I think it's important to remember just how unpopular what Israel's doing is. Virtually the entire non-United States international community has condemned this. The European Union, the United Nations, virtually every country has condemned what they are doing and what we are helping them do. They are committing war crimes as we speak, cutting off food, fuel, medical supplies. You're not supposed to collectively punish a group of people for the same reason. Like I said, if I kill somebody and I hold a baby and I take a baby hostage, the police are not going to shoot the baby to kill me. That's generally not how it's going to work. And if they did, there would be widespread condemnation. You guys know that if right now the police said, I'm going to blow up an entire neighborhood in Gary, Indiana, because there's a gang that is stationed there, and in order to kill all these gangsters, we're going to kill everybody on the block, there would be widespread condemnation of that, and rightfully so. And so one of the most underrated parts, or at least the unheralded parts of this, is just how much damage Israel's doing to people who are obviously not Hamas. The UN, the United Nations, has said that they are going to reduce their footprint in the Gaza Strip after Israeli tanks struck one of their compounds, killing one of their staffers from Bulgaria. Not Hamas in the slightest. They are killing people from the United Nations, from the World Central Kitchen. They are killing aid workers. They are killing doctors and nurses. People come from, they're killing Canadians, Americans, people from all over the world who have come to try to treat and help this this community that's currently being ethnically cleansed. And in this country, it is being treated like, well, you know, it's an unfortunate thing, you know, because again, who owns and controls our media? I'm just saying. Just yesterday, there was an execution of 16 ambulance crew members by Israeli forces in Rafah, southern Gaza. They had actually coordinated with the International Red Cross to say, hey, look, tell Israel we are with the Red Cross and we are coming to attend to these people who are being obviously brutally exterminated and who are injured. And Israel executed all 16 members of the missing civil defense and Red Crescent teams. They were found buried near their barracks. And not only that, all of their ambulances and firefighting equipment was deliberately destroyed. Now, who else could get away with that? Anybody want to tell me, could anybody else get away with that? I don't think so. They literally just lynched a man who won an Oscar a few weeks ago at the Oscars, a man named Hamdan Bilal, who co-directed this movie called No Other Land. Now, the thing about this movie, No Other Land, this documentary, Jewish activists made this movie, along with Palestinian activists. This was a collaborative between Jews and Palestinians who both have condemned Israel's actions in not only Gaza, but in the West Bank as well. And so they just won an Oscar for this movie a few weeks ago. And again, to show you that who runs and controls our government, the mayor of Miami threatened to close a theater for showing this documentary that just won an Oscar. Now the Oscars gave it an award, but just showing the movie made the mayor of Miami say, I'm going to close this theater down. So again, we have to start asking ourselves, why are you able to criticize the American government? You can criticize the Chinese government. You can criticize the British government, the French government, the Canadian government. I could talk crap about the Russian government, about South Africa, about North Korea, about Japan, any country in the world. I can say whatever I want to about those countries and about their governments. But the only country I'm not allowed to criticize at all in many circles without having my college degree rescinded, without being deported, without having my whole business taken away from me, is Israel. Ask yourself that. This is what Hamdan Bilal had to say, what his experience was. It's really harrowing.
Palestinian Oscar-winning filmmaker Hamdan Bilal has been lynched by Israeli settlers. The No Other Land director says the plan all along was to kill him. Take a look.
Oscar-winning Palestinian filmmaker Hamdan Bilal says he paid the price for winning an Oscar. Co-director of No Other Land, which won Best Documentary at the prestigious awards, described his harrowing ordeal in the occupied West Bank. The filmmaker says he was brutally attacked by Israeli settlers whose plan was to kill him.
I felt that these were the last moments of my life, that I would lose it due to the severity of the beating. My head was trapped between the settler's foot, the door, and the wall, as if it were a football.
Yuval Abraham, who co-directed the documentary, criticized the US Academy for its silence over the issue. Israeli police released Balal on Tuesday after detaining him the day before allegedly hurling rocks, following what activists described as an attack by settlers in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. During his detention at an Israeli military center, Balal noticed soldiers mentioning his name alongside the word Oscar during shift changes.
I could hear the change of shifts among the soldiers, and every soldier working a new shift would mention my name along with the word Oscar before continuing in Hebrew. While I couldn't understand everything they said, I clearly recognized my name and the word Oscar, as those words don't change in Hebrew.
Israel's military says 3 Palestinians were apprehended for hurling rocks during a confrontation between Israelis and Palestinians in the southern West Bank village of Susya. The village is located near Masafer Yatta, a group of hamlets south of Hebron city, where no other land is set. The best documentary at this year's Academy Awards tells the story of forced displacement of Palestinians by Israeli troops and settlers in Masafer Yatta, an area Israel had declared a restricted military zone in the 1980s.
So there you go. They literally brutalized and lynched a Oscar-winning director. They're killing ambulance crew members, and now they're also killing journalists. They just killed a man, a Palestinian journalist named Hassam Shabat, who's only 23 years old. You know, at the age of 7, he was around for their ground invasion that killed 1,400 people. At age 10, he saw a major air assault that Israel regularly does that they call mowing the lawn, where they just, you know, mow the lawn and kill a few hundred people for the sake of doing it. At the age of 11, he saw another ground invasion that killed 2,200 people. At 19, another massive bombing campaign he witnessed. And the IDF actually put him on a hit list of journalists to kill last year. And so, you know, before he was killed, he left this message. He said, if you're reading this, it means I have been killed, most likely targeted by the Israeli occupation forces. When I began, I was only 21 years old, a college student with dreams like anyone else. And for the past 18 months, I've dedicated every moment of my life to my people. I documented the horrors in northern Gaza minute by minute, determined to show the world what they tried to bury. I slept on pavement, in schools, in tents, anywhere I could, and each day was a battle for survival. I endured hunger for months, yet I never left my people's side. By God, I fulfilled my duty as a journalist. I risked everything to report the truth, and now I am finally at rest, something I have not known in the past 18 months. I did all this because I believe in the Palestinian cause. I believe this land is ours, and it has been the highest honor of my life to die defending it and serving its people. I ask you now, do not stop speaking about Gaza. Do not let the world look away. Keep fighting, keep telling our stories until Palestine is finally free. Wow. And we're not going to stop talking about it. All of us who care about justice, we are not going to stop talking about this this genocide and the criminal state that is Israel or the United States. Just a quick side note, in the JFK papers that were just released in the last week, or so, it was said that the CIA actually requested that all mentions of Israel be removed from the JFK files. So there's that. Again, who really runs this country? Who really runs this country? I can say worse things about my own government in this country than I can say about Israel on a major platform without either being completely blackmailed, blackballed, black anything else, possibly kidnapped, possibly killed. If I was an immigrant, I'd be deported. I could say worse things about Donald Trump, about Joe Biden, about Kamala Harris, about Barack Obama, about Mitch McConnell, about J.D. Vance. I can say whatever I want to about these people, and virtually nothing, most of the time, nothing will happen to me except for maybe some of the crazy MAGA people or some of the crazy liberals that show up and say some horrific, oh, you suck, and, I hope you die, or whatever. Okay, fine. But the only people facing real consequences in this country are the people who are talking about the state of Israel. Simple as that. That's it. That's it, folks. All right, folks. We're going to go to a break really quick. When we come back, happy Abbies! Be right back after these.